Hello and welcome to the Weekly Reel Podcast. My name is Jeremy,
And my name is Ken.
and today we're going to be discussing the Sokovia Accords with Tony Stark versus Steve Rogers in Captain America: Civil War. No, I'm just kidding. We're I promise that will be the one time I'll make that joke
It's
this episode.
it's like we've been transported back into 2016, another presidential election year.
Oh yeah, 8 years ago, man. But no,
Sheesh.
today we are talking about Alex Garland's Civil War. This is definitely a movie that I feel like we need to talk about this season. But before we get into that, Ken, right now we are actually live streaming. Tell them all about it.
Yes, we are. We are live streaming on a small platform called YouTube. I definitely want to shout out our current live stream audience. Obviously, the ones that are currently online now, and the ones that will be joining a little bit later. Um, Whoever is out there tonight will give you guys a bunch of opportunities to be able to comment on whatever we're talking about at a given point of this podcast, as well as address any questions. So we'll set aside time throughout, and we love the interactiveness of season 7 so far. We've been blessed with a bunch of great questions and great comments. So we definitely are looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say.
Yeah, that's definitely been one of my favorite things this season that we included is just having you guys talk to us live. So if you're watching live, go ahead and comment. We'll interact with you. And if you watch us later on YouTube or wherever, go ahead and leave a comment then. We'll answer it down below. So today we're going to be talking about Civil War. So spoiler warning, it is out in theaters right now. Go check it out before continuing with the rest of the episode. If you don't care about spoilers, then keep watching. Because Civil War is a journey across a dystopian future America following a team of combat journalists as they race against time to reach DC as rebels invade the White House. All right, Ken. So this movie is freaking crazy.
Yes, it
But you know what's
was.
another crazy movie? Dumb and Dumber. And we like road trip movies. you know, Civil War, Dumb and Dumber.
They go hand in hand,
They go
like
hand in hand
spaghetti and
because
meatballs, bro.
that's right. Peanut butter and jelly. And just like another thing synonymous, Weekly Reel podcast, and now the double feature.
Oh, I
Shoot,
see
like
what you
that.
did there.
Yeah,
Oh.
because my first question is about road trips.
Ooh, okay.
And just like Dumb and Dumber, I remember the last time we talked about Dumb and Dumber, we said like, "Oh, what would you like different to happen in Dumb and Dumber?" So, just like Dumb and Dumber, for Civil War, were there any twists and turns you wish the movie could have gotten in terms of the story? Because they're traveling all across like the East Coast of America at this point in time. Yeah, was there anything that you wish you could have seen more? Wish you could have seen more of the Western forces, see what's going on in California, Texas, or whatever? Or do you like that the story is more closely knit to kind of our small group of main characters?
I kind of wish that the two sides were a little bit more distinguishable. I don't know if that was on purpose, just
Mm.
because there was that one scene with one of my favorite actors, Jesse Plemons, who played unnamed character on
Was he really
IMDb.
just unnamed?
He's unnamed character. I was trying to look for him in the main like cast section of IMDb, and I couldn't find him. I had to dig deep, and I was like, "Wait, what was his name again?" Eventually
So,
found him as unnamed character. But
yeah.
anyway, I don't know if the reason why he kind of left it a little ambiguous is so that, you're, in certain parts of the movie, you're like, well, okay, what side are these people on or whatever. And I get it. I feel like at times you could leave those scenes in there. I feel like that was like one of my favorite scenes where, dude, it just got my anxiety levels to like a million during that scene. But I feel like more of the establishing quieter scenes could have helped a little bit. I mean, this had actually a pretty short runtime, especially considering some of the movies that we've seen. Even this season, Dune Part 2 was pretty long. And,
Hmm.
for me, it was fine. But I feel like it could have used another 10 to 15 minutes of a little connective tissue where you could kind of see a little bit of the normal side. I mean, we got a little bit of that when they went into the that little boutique shop or whatever it was. A little
Hmm.
bit more of that. It would have felt more like a road trip, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I would have liked to see them stop in maybe another, like at least one more town
Mm-hmm.
with maybe something completely like off the rails in terms of like maybe how bad it's really gone, because you got to see like super like bad stuff in the distance, or
Mm-hmm.
you got to see like when we saw Jesse Plemons' character, this mass grave,
Yeah.
but it was like very small kind. I know it's like an A24 movie in terms of scope, everything. It's probably the grandest
Yeah.
A24 movie so far,
Uh-huh.
but I would have liked them to like a whole town of just like crazy people.
Yeah.
I think would have been pretty interesting to see, like the almost the contrast to the town that was just like hiding and acting like
Okay.
nothing was wrong.
I would have loved to see that. Also, like maybe another kind of side town. The way I was thinking about it is that similar to that boutique interaction, you get some nice fine people, but you later find out that they're more, I guess, on the side of the president, President Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
And that way, when they realize, that they're journalists or something like that, or if they encounter the Western forces or whatever, then you could kind of see the switch flip, and you get to see like more of the, like heavy political side, like either right or left wing, like what we're accustomed to now. But in that world, it would be heavily more geared towards like supporting the president, because I feel like we got a lot more of the Western forces view, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
But like you said, when we did get both sides, I couldn't tell the difference. Like
Yeah.
I had a hard time, honestly.
Yeah.
It was probably like you said intentional, but that made me a little like, oh, where are we now? What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it was I think a little bit more, some scenes that allow you to breathe a little bit would have been more welcome. That way it would have gave us a little bit more time to kind of relax in between all the goosebump scenes or whatever. And I don't know.
Yeah, I wish they actually established the character of Joel, not
Oh yeah.
Pedro Pascal. um,
Where's Ellie?
exactly. But because we got to spend time with Lee and Jesse on a
Mm-hmm.
deeper character level. In
Mm-hmm.
terms of Joel, he was there, but he was most of that. Oh, he's the kind of comedic relief,
Yeah.
maybe. But so I was like, dude, this guy is gonna die. Like from the
So,
beginning of the movie, I was like,
yeah.
oh, he's gonna die. Out of all the characters, he did not die.
I know. And he was like the one that was really gung ho about being in the thick of things. He was all
Yeah.
like excited or whatever. He actually kind of also reminded me, in addition to Pedro Pascal, he reminded me of that one guy in, oh my goodness, what show is that? Better Call Saul. But oh, and he was the guy with the sword in Hawkeye. What was his name?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Dang it, I don't remember his name. Yeah, I can see that though. Watch, he's the same guy. No, he's not.
It better not be the same guy.
He's
He
definitely
play.
not.
Oh,
Right?
he plays Lalo in Better Call Saul. I gotta actually just really quick.
That is funny. It's just the
Yeah,
facial hair, man. I think that's what's giving. Like when you go to his IMDb page, I was like, "Who is this guy?" He has like no facial hair in his picture.
I know. Like, did you recognize him in anything that he's done other than Civil War?
Uh, apparently he was in Elysium.
Oh,
So
okay.
other than that, I don't think I've seen anything else.
Huh. Let's see. Who is the guy who plays Lalo? Oh, Tony Dalton.
Lalo, Tony. Oh,
Tony Dalton. He's the guy that plays the. I forget what the his character's name was in Hawkeye.
yeah, I forget. But that's who he plays in Hawkeye. That's the actual guy in Hawkeye.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah,
Okay.
Tony Dalton is his actual name.
Okay. Making sure.
He doesn't look like a Tony Dalton because he looks Hispanic.
He's got the mustache
Yeah, he's
in
got the
Hawkeye.
mustache. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Shoot.
But for my half of the double feature, I've kind of already alluded to like the fact that I don't know. I don't know if Jeremy noticed. I sometimes didn't even notice. I was always kind of on the edge of my seat. I currently take pressure medicine, and I feel like my blood pressure was pretty high throughout this movie. And so, my question for my half of the double feature is: which scene got your heart rate at a fever pitch?
Shoot. It would almost be like too easy to say the Jesse Plemons scene.
Yeah.
If people don't know who Jesse Plemons is, the guy with the pink glasses, the soldier creating the mass grave. Anyway, but I'm not gonna say that scene. I'm gonna say that one scene where Lee, Joel, and Jesse are taking pictures. I think this is possibly Jesse's first time like out in combat for real. And they're
Oh,
following those soldiers, like then they're hiding behind pillars.
yeah.
And I just remember, holy crap, the way the scene starts off, like, oh, it was the town that they can hear the gunshots in the
Hmm.
distance at night, and then we cut straight to
Whoa, right
that scene.
there.
I was like, oh, crap. I jumped so hard.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you heard the big, was it the sniper rifle
yeah,
transition or something like that?
literally, and shoot, dude, I was after that. That probably kept my blood pressure pretty high for the rest of the movie
The
because
res-
that
yeah,
set the tone in terms
yeah,
of that was like uh, the first crazy kind of POV with these
yeah.
characters, and it was like you're with you're. It's like you are these characters going in the fight, weaving through the action, and every time they like peek
Hmm.
and take a picture, I'm like, jeez. Like someone's gonna get shot. Like they lean, take a picture. I'm like, dude, that's gonna look like a freaking gun. What are you guys doing? And but yeah, that was probably that scene set the tone. It wasn't probably like the craziest scene, but it set the tone for the rest of the movie for me.
Yeah, I that was definitely early on. I remember there was, I think, one more before. I forget now, like which actually took place. Remember what the scene, the initial scene where, well, it ended with the suicide bomber.
Mm,
Remember
yeah,
when I think that was the first time we kind of meet Jessie and she gets hit in the nose or something like that, and Lee tries to give her the what that bright yellow vest,
yeah.
and that was it. Yeah, I don't know. I felt that was pretty chaotic, but you're right. After that one shot that just like literally scared the crap out of me, uh, it it just stayed at that fever pitch after, and it just kept going. And I thought even when we thought it was gonna be a little, oh, it's gonna be relaxed a little bit, when Jesse jumps out of the van or whatever. I was like, this is not going to end well. I already know something's going to happen, and I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
realize it was going to lead right into the Jesse Plemons scene. I was like, no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And in that Jesse Plemons scene, man, when you see Lee, obviously Jesse's taking hostage, then you get Lee and Joel. Sammy's all the way in the back. You don't really see him. Honestly, you forget about him in
Mhm.
that scene because it's so intense. But they're with also Tony, right? The
Yeah,
character Tony, and I'm like, he's so dead. Like it's over.
yeah.
Like I notice him throughout the entire scene, but I'm like, it's over. He's not going to survive this. Who
Mhm.
knows even if Joel will survive? But yeah, because I was like, out of all of them, probably Joel is the most expendable out of out of
Out of
besides Tony,
the core four.
out of the court. Yeah, I was like,
And
what?
then, well, because Sammy was hanging back, because he was kind of old or whatever.
Yeah,
They
I
would
didn't
have
know.
for sure killed him.
Yeah, for sure. But shoot, yeah, when he killed Tony, I was like, he's so screwed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when he started crying, and I was like, oh man,
yeah,
of course they gotta kill the Asian brother.
yeah. I know. It's like it's over.
Um, dude, that entire last scene for me was my hands were like sweaty.
Oh, dude! As soon as we dropped into the street,
Yeah,
like and
in
tanks were
Washington.
rolling by. Oh
Yeah,
god. I was expecting one of our main characters to get hit by a tank missile.
something,
Hmm.
like some jump scare or whatever. Maybe a different soldier, maybe has like a knife or something. But
Dude, they need to wear. Where's the bright vests in this? They're wearing freaking body armor with the tiny print that says press. You know, like
I
in.
know it was pretty dark already by the time the scene was kind of coming to an end.
I know, and they're wearing like dark clothing underneath the thing. I'm like, dude, I'd be freaking wearing neon colors that
I know.
has a
Wait,
big
wait.
sign over my head that says journalist.
I know, with strobe lights going off. Doom, doom, doom.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, that entire scene, I was like, okay, someone's not gonna make it through this. I honestly didn't think it was gonna be Lee, but when Jesse was making stupid ass decisions, and I was like, oh man, it made sense that she was gonna cost Lee's life. And dude, didn't even blink. She just kept going. I was like, man, this is a savage game, man.
Yeah, so dude, in that moment, it reminded me so much of Nightcrawler, but with a
Yeah,
little bit more, a little bit more empathy, just a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
Because in the beginning of the movie, they foreshadow it
Hmm.
when Jesse and Lee are looking at the downed helicopter. It's
Oh
like, and
yeah,
Jesse asked her, "Oh, if I got shot, would you take a picture?" And then freaking Lee was like, "What do you think?" It's like, oh shoot. But honestly, when you're talking about the decisions, at first I was kind of like, I was like, what the hell is this girl doing? But if you go back and watch, it's like she was literally copying Lee at
Lee.
everything she
Yep.
did. I was like, but you're not. She does obviously not as experienced as Lee. But even when Lee was doing it, I was like, holy crap, what are
Yeah.
you doing? I'm like, why are you freaking running in like you have a freaking assault rifle? But yeah, it's like she was not experienced to make those moves, but she was pretty much copying her hero and got
Hmm.
her hero killed.
Yeah. It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. But she actually did what her hero would have done and just kept going, which was pretty crazy because I think they foreshadowed it a little bit, like really early in the movie with Lee and how she's experienced so much. They did a few flashbacks of some of the gruesome images that she's shot over the years, and then man, you could tell you during that last battle or whatever, right before she got killed, there was a point in time when she was losing it.
Yeah.
Even Joel was like, "Hey Lee, dude, you okay? Let's go, let's go."
Yeah. Dude, like you can see it kind of building up, right? Like kind of
Hmm.
like this PTSD that she's accumulated over the years. And when Jesse, when Lee saves Jesse and Jesse takes the picture of Lee basically getting shot, I saw it as almost like a passing of the torch.
Yeah.
Now Jesse has become Lee,
Mm-hmm.
almost being that apathetic kind of stoic character,
Yeah.
and it kind of made me realize like, oh, this is a, I think the message of the movie is that this is a cycle, pretty
Yeah.
much. The same people will keep revolving around, kind of, if you want to take a negative spin on it, like America will always continue to destroy itself. um, but in for our main characters, it's like, oh, Lee was that girl. She was Jesse before, but now Jesse's Lee, and eventually she's gonna also become Lee, become hardened, and eventually break as well. I kind of
Uh,
see that in my head canon.
in Civil War II. No, I'm
In
just kidding.
Civil War 2, you mean Endgame? Infinity War? Okay, that was the last one.
you, hey, you said that word. No, I'm just kidding. I enjoyed it. Oh man.
Shoot. All right. Well, the next section of our podcast, we want to talk about the dailies. So, kind of just our random thoughts on Civil War. I know we talked a lot about Joel, Pedro Pascal, who's in there, and the end scene, Jesse Plemons a lot. So, I'll give you first dibs on what do you want to throw out for the dailies.
All right. Let me ask you this: which death hit you harder, Sammy's or Lee's?
Probably Sammy, because it was the first death. That's just showed like, oh wow, they can really die at any time. I felt that really, but kind of knowing that there are main characters, they have a plot armor for at least a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
When we got to the end battle, it's like, okay, someone can definitely die. Anyone can die in this scene. Freaking who, all of them could die by the
Yeah.
end of this movie. So, but when you see Lee die, I wasn't too surprised. If anything, I thought freaking Jessie would just get herself killed. I didn't actually expect Lee to actually save her, because
Yeah.
Lee
She already kind
never.
of did in the beginning. So I
Yeah,
was like,
it's like,
they're not going to do it again.
yeah, but it's like that was obviously much more lethal the second time.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that Lee had that character in her to be that hero. I thought she
Yeah.
would stay a bystander,
Yeah.
but
I think she
yeah,
saw herself in Jesse, though. I think
yeah,
that's what it was.
I think so.
I
Because
think
they had
even
the
Sammy,
bunch of those talks.
yeah, Sammy even called her out on it,
Hmm.
basically saying, "Hey, yeah, I think you're being hard on yourself." When really she's being hard on Jess. She was hard on Jesse at the time.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
but yeah, that Sammy death was hit hard. Just because again, I feel like when you feel it a little bit more in the quieter moments, and yeah, dude, he saved the day. Um, dude, that pit of like dead bodies
Oh,
reveal was
dude.
pretty crazy, and that's what kind of got the anxiety probably as high as it ever got during this movie. And for him to save the day and basically run over Jesse Plemons and I guess the other guy
Yeah,
to save the three, and I was like, oh yeah. But
that
I
was a
was like,
deep pit, man.
yeah. And then I was like, man, that was a lot of shots. I was like, someone had to have gotten hit. And I was like, no, why'd it have to be the old guy?
Yeah, it's like you knew he wasn't gonna survive the entire movie. They kind of said it like in the beginning. It's like
Yeah.
he can't. Surprisingly, there was some funny moments like in this movie,
Yeah.
like freaking right before they confront Jesse Plemons. It's like, oh, talking to Sammy. He's like, you're old and can't move and stuff. It's like, wow, stay here.
It's kind of brutal, man.
I know, but in the everything that's been going on, it's like you need a little bit of levity. I think that was really good of the movie, the way that they were able to balance the sense of dread, but
Yeah.
also bring in some levity. Because you
I
can't
know.
have
Dread for 2 hours
Yeah,
straight.
I mean, it was pretty darn close. But, to have just a moment to take one breath,
Breathe. Yeah, I
exactly,
know.
Ducard.
2 weeks in a row, bro.
2 weeks in a row. I was surprised on how little they showed Nick Offerman because he kicks off the movie, then we don't
Oh
see
yeah.
him again.
Yeah. Yeah. I it was weird seeing him in that part of like in that role within this dystopian world, just because I got used to even though it was what really only one episode of The Last of Us, I was kind of expecting him being all scruffy looking and everything.
Yeah,
So it was a nice change of pace.
to be fair, that felt like a long episode, in terms
It
of
did.
like a lot happened
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh
that
yeah.
episode.
I mean, it basically covered a good amount of time. We're talking about what episode 3 of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I personally thought it was one of the better episodes of the season, but because certain circumstances are what they are, it got review bombed, I think.
Yeah. Like I somewhat it's like it's kind of filler in a way, but it's a really well done episode. Yeah.
Agreed.
So I still enjoyed the episode a lot.
Yeah, but yeah,
Uh
I was really surprised that he literally appeared bookends. You saw him at the beginning, rehearsing whatever his speech ended up being, and then it was at the end he was just cowering. And it would have
yeah,
been
when
nice to see him a little bit more, like sprinkled through maybe with like news reports.
mhm.
That way we could kind of see what their motivations were, uh, as Washington or whatever they called the non-Western forces side. I forgot what they were supposed to be called. The regular United States.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hesitant to agree because I'm still seeing like Nick Offerman as that comedic actor that I've
Oh,
watched
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. So it's like okay, like I was able to settle into that in The Last of Us, but in this, if he's just like coming out of nowhere as the president of as out of all the characters he were to be, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know if I could go that far yet for Nick Offerman,
Mm.
but freaking Joel, he had that one liner to the president when they shot him.
Oh,
It's like, oh, can I get a quote,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah. What did
then
he say? What did the president say again? It's
I
like, don't,
forgot.
hey, don't let them kill me. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's all I needed, or something like that.
yeah. I was like, dang.
Damn. I think that I was paraphrasing. That's not the exact quote, but that's basically what he said.
Yeah, it was something like, wait, don't let them shoot me, something like that.
Oh, here it is. I need a quote. Don't let them kill me. Yeah, that'll do.
Dang. That was the freaking most brutalest line. I was like, holy crap.
And mic drop.
Freaking Joel, man.
Yeah, that freaking Jesse takes that photo that ends up developing through the credits.
Yeah, the end credits. See, what like to me, what felt kind of weird
Hmm.
in that end scene is that they just like leave Lee there. They didn't even like check. No one
Yeah.
checked on her. It was like, what if her or if she was freaking Alex Murphy in RoboCop and she she could survive. No, I'm kidding. This movie took a much more real stance, but
I was I was
we didn't
I
get her
was
shot to bits.
I was thinking Nick Fury and Winter Soldier, where she took something and then dropped her heartbeat to one beat a minute.
Exactly. It's like
Fake her death.
young wrong universe, man.
Oh, we're not covering that Civil War?
Yeah, or Last of Us.
Oh man, that's so funny. Oh, I have another random dailies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Western Forces' main two states were obviously California, us, and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're kind of, in our world, very polar opposites in terms of what our views are, right?
Hmm.
It's one's a red state, one's a blue state. In your own canon, how do you think California and Texas joined forces?
Oh man, how was I? Let me think.
It could be stupid. I
It
don't
just
care. This is your
like,
canon
what
now.
do you mean
I'm
by
not talking
how?
like okay, so obviously there has to be some sort of catalyst and be like, hey, did we just become best friends like in Step Brothers?
Oh, I see. Oh
And
shoot.
then they, was like, you know what? Because I could go first. In my head, I'm like, you think about California and Texas, they're like two of the biggest states,
Yep.
like surface area wise. Yeah, one's in the south, one's on the west coast, which isn't really realistic. It would have been a little bit easier if they were a little closer to one another.
Yeah, or put some other states to
Yeah, like that
join
are
them.
all, yeah, that they're joined, like Arizona or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was like, well, they have a lot of people that live in both states. They have the infrastructure, they have a lot of money, they got big markets, I guess, and they have the best of both worlds, red and blue. So they were like, you know what? Let's do this thing on our own. And I'm thinking that they tried to recruit those states in between and it didn't go well.
Oh, dude. It's like the catalyst is, man. It's like the rest of the United States bombed the freaking Cowboy Stadium and the Niners Stadium, red and blue. It's like, oh, this is war. How could you
See,
do
that's what
that?
I meant.
America's team
America's team, the Niners,
and the
and the
Niners.
Cowboys. Oh man.
This means war. So and then you got freaking California's resources. Basically, I bet freaking they made a giant freaking truck to run on clean energy, and that's their main vehicles for the Western forces. They all like just huge freaking everything, huge guns, huge trucks.
Yeah. And then what
But
they did
yeah,
in terms of other, just everyday life, they took southern Texas brisket and they put some carne asada seasoning and they made beautiful tacos out of them.
there you go. That's what's in the cafeteria, in the barracks.
Yeah, in the barracks. Yeah, we're well fed. We're well fed in the Western forces.
There you go. For all the serious answers out there.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I envisioned that question going.
There you go.
But yeah, you know what? Like if the Niners and the Cowboys joined forces, we would have what, Brock Purdy? Yes, Brock Purdy over Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey. We'll have what, CD Lamb as a wideout.
Mm-hmm.
Do two tight ends every now and then because I think the Cowboys have a pretty good tight end with George Kittle.
Yeah.
Dude, our defense would be scary with Bosa and Micah Parsons.
Yeah. Dude, it'd be crazy. It's like that's the freaking movie right there. It's if the Niners and the Cowboys actually teamed up.
Yeah, I know. Well, and there you go. That's why this movie is fantasy. It would never
Yeah.
happen.
Exactly. It would never like for people that are just comparing it to like, oh yeah, this dude. Like Texas or freaking like I said, Cowboys, Niners.
That's all you need to know. Polar
That's all
opposites.
Yeah, this is fiction. Take it for all the other messages.
Hmm.
But let's move on to the real review because I'm curious, Ken, on how you've rated this movie because this movie was a lot. I'll just say that.
So it was. Okay, my real review. Did I suspend belief? Did I try to inject the current U.S. political landscape into this latest movie by Alex Garland? The answer to both of these questions, well, one of them was yes to suspending belief, and the other was definitely no. I didn't try to inject the current political landscape to Civil War, Alex Garland Civil War. So when one side of Garland Civil War has two states that are just currently polar opposites in our political landscape in 2024, that was my first clue to go ahead and just suspend belief and just judge this movie as it should be. That basically this is a variant of the United States of America. What I did judge this movie on, though, was if this movie kept my attention for an hour and 49 minutes. And it sure did. I mean, you heard me and Jeremy talk. We were both at the edge of our seats. I felt like the sound design and the cinematography of a dystopian variant of this country was top notch. It was so good. The sound design, especially, just man, it startled me several times when the gunshots would just be so loud. It was so good. But yeah, for me, I don't know if I'll get a lot of crap because I do like this movie, despite, I guess, all the political chatter beyond, that's surrounding this movie right now. But for my I Love You 3000 score, I'm giving it a 2490 out of 3000, which is 83%.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good score. And dude, we watched it in one of our local theaters at Tan Friends. Dude, I was like, dang, out of all the movie theaters you could have watched this movie. But it was, there was no stains on this screen this time.
Gross. I know what you mean. It was Theater 16 that has the stain.
Yeah, I have to make sure that we do not go in theater 16.
Yeah, I know.
Just go back and refund.
Yeah, what was 17, I think?
Yeah, we're
I
in
forget.
17.
Yeah.
All right. For me, Civil War, this has to be one of the most intense movies I've seen in like the last 5 years. I literally felt this sense of dread throughout the entire movie. Even when it was a quiet scene, I feel like I couldn't rest. I couldn't even breathe. I just thought a sniper would just come out of nowhere and shoot somebody. I was immersed and put into the shoes of our main characters. I think Civil War did a great job of quickly world building, but keeping the story tight and neat to our main characters. But like most other A24 films I've seen, it's not very rewatchable. But the experience I had in theaters with the one time I've seen it was something I haven't experienced in a long time. So if you're ready to be at the edge of your seat or hiding in the back of your seat, kind of like I was, Civil War will do that to you. So I am giving Civil War a 2730 out of
Whoa.
3000. That is 91%. I like this movie a lot.
Whoa. Okay, okay. So far your movie of the year?
Yeah, so I think from our season so far, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, 2024 releases, right? I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Not anyone but you, or Madam Web, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Or
we have a contender next week. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
yeah. Okay, truth be told, only because obviously I wanted to give you a chance to give your real review. I kept going back and forth whether I like this movie more than I did Monkey Man. Actually, that's kind of like it was on that same tier. I think I don't think it was on the same tier for me with Dune Part 2 as far as 2024 movie of the year contenders. I think the more I thought about it, I think you alluded to it, right? The whole rewatchability thing. I think as we've gone on with this podcast, I think rewatchability is like one of my most important traits, I think, into go because like I get it. Like I think last week we were talking about a movie like The Revenant, right, in Soup du Jour.
Yeah,
I love that movie. It's one of the most gorgeous pieces of cinema I've ever seen. It was brutal. The acting was so good. Would I watch it again? Probably not.
yeah,
It's kind of a hard watch.
yeah. I definitely like. See,
Well, for
that's
me
like
anyway.
Yeah, I agree with The Revenant. Me and Dune Part 2, I really like it a lot. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's that rewatchable,
Mhm.
more rewatchable than the first one, but
Yeah.
um, it's still a long movie. I think in terms of rewatchability for me, Dune Part 2 and Civil War are about the same for me.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. For me, I'm not gonna just pick up and I'm gonna watch Dune Part Two on a whim. For me, I have to like prepare. I have to set aside like a large chunk of time because
Yeah.
then I would want to watch Dune into Dune Part Two. You know what I mean? And I would basically treat it like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, or whatever, something like that. Or if I wanted to rewatch Game of Thrones for the millionth time, something like that, where,
Yeah, it's something you have to actually dedicate a
uh
little
huh.
section of time to, for
And
sure.
it just needs to be quiet. I just need to be me and my subs, me and my subs. I just want to absorb all the dialogue.
Exactly. Well, Ken, let's move on to our favorite game here on the Weekly Reel podcast, the Guess the Rotten Tomatoes score. And right now, I am up 5. I have 5 points. You have 3 points. So I am up by 2 right now, but you can close that gap this week. So you can take the first stab at it.
Okay. I think I barely mentioned it right before we hit live to you, and this was when we were still offline. I was like, leaving the theater had a pretty high guess, but I didn't obviously cheat and check the Rotten Tomatoes score, but I kept hearing a lot of political stuff, which is why I added it into my real review. I made it a point where I wasn't really thinking of that.
Mm-hmm.
I go to movies to suspend belief. And so I was like, man, I feel like these critics will knock it because of its political views. I'm guessing 72%. And that guess used to be 10 points higher.
Oh.
But I'm going final answer 72%.
Okay, I am guessing the complete opposite because I didn't even think about that. I'm guessing 92%.
Oh, see. Yeah, I was thinking pretty high too, but
All
yeah.
right, so here we go. The official reveal for the ratings for Civil War. It is
Dang it.
82%. Wait a minute.
I
Wait,
should have stayed with my original. Damn it.
so that means we're tied?
Yeah, we get a point each because we're off by 10 each.
Damn. Damn, what the
I,
heck?
I would have got it exact if I would have just stuck with my original. Dang it.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Dang, so we both get the point
See, that
then.
just proves that I didn't cheat. I told you that my initial guess was 82, but my final guess was 72.
Oh, you should
So
have stuck. Yeah,
I
that first instincts, man. First
yeah.
instincts.
Well, the last 4 weeks, the previous 4 weeks, my instincts was horrible. So
It's getting closer.
yeah. Well,
All
whatever.
right,
I
updated
got a
score.
point, but the problem was you got one too.
Yep, updated score. I have 6, and now you have 4, Ken.
All
But I
right.
was talking about this movie was probably my movie of the season so far. But next week we have another interesting movie on the horizon.
We do. Next week, a small group of highly skilled soldiers gets recruited by the British military for a strike on Nazi Germany during World War II. In the next offering from Guy Ritchie, next week we are talking about the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Uh, well, I mean, we're recording this on the 17th of April. Opening night preview screenings are actually starting tomorrow night. So I know Jeremy and I are going to be watching it this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I've actually been looking forward to it since you mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
I had no idea this movie existed until you told me about it, and we were trying to figure out this season's schedule.
Yeah, I was like, dude, there's a movie that has Superman, Reacher, Snake Eyes, freaking what's his name? Nick Young from Crazy Rich Asians. They're all in it. And it's directed by the guy who did Wrath of Man
Yeah.
and
And the gentleman.
the Gentleman.
Oh
Exactly.
man.
That was my pitch.
I like it. And you know what? It ended up being one of my most anticipated movies too. And it was on your list too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it was like
Yeah.
number 3 or 4.
Yeah. I had it around the same. But yeah, it's out in theaters starting tomorrow night. And by the time this podcast gets released, it'll already be out. So go watch it. Join the conversation on our live stream. And yeah, we would love to interact with you guys.
Yep. Because speaking of interaction, Ken, they can interact us on YouTube Live now because,
Hmm.
you know, where can they find us on YouTube, I guess?
Well, go to YouTube, go to that search bar, type in the Weekly Reel podcast. You'll see both Jeremy and I's animated faces. And what we ask you to do is hit that subscribe button and then also hit that bell for notifications on new content. That way, it'll appear on your subscriptions. And we release content pretty regularly on that platform. So you should be seeing that in your subscriptions page.
Yep. So we'll be there like usually, or we'll be live streaming just like we are now about every Wednesday night. So just check that out for all the updates when we go live on YouTube. But for Instagram, if you want to check us out, that's pretty updated as well. You get a bunch of reels and stuff. That's going to be at Weekly Reel. And if you want to check out our TikTok, if you want, you're not so much into the watching the entire live stream or whatever, go on our TikTok at Weekly Reel Pod. Ken does really cool edits of our, some of our segments. So go check that out on TikTok. But Ken, I can't wait for next week, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. That's going to be really fun. Very hard to say. But we will see them next week.
But also for those that are in the live stream, we have a part two, so hang tight.
Oh, yes. Definitely. Hang tight. Yeah, that'll be in about 5 minutes or so. We got to just take a quick break. But other than that, Ken, we will see them next week, right?
Yes, for ungentlemanly warfare.
All right. And we'll see you next time on the